Why do I say so? Now, if you think about any traumatic incident, let's say the conflict or the violent extremism or tsunami, fundamentally, these are experiences that are not normal. These are not the average day-to-day experience, right? Tsunami is not average day-to-day experience. Conflict, rape, none of these experiences are normal in that sense, right? So when it comes to the human person who survive these experiences, given that the experience itself is abnormal, there is no normal way to react to them. I mean, if you really ask yourself, is there a normal way to react to being raped? There is none. Is there a normal way to react when you see your parents or your neighbors being killed in a conflict? There is no normal way to react to these situations. So what we need to understand is the moment that we label their reactions as traumatic, so that they are abnormal, I need to fix you because you are traumatized now. This understanding is based on an assumption that we seem to be making that there is a normal way to react, which is why we are saying, okay, this reaction is unacceptable, we need to change it. But if you really get into it, ask yourself, is there a normal way to react to these situations? I really don't think there is, right? When it comes to PTSD, the diagnosis, DSM-5, the fifth version. DSM is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. This is where all the disorders are described, right? The first criteria to diagnose PTSD is the exposure to one of these events. And they base the diagnosis literally on the exposure. However, instead of recognizing that these are abnormal situations, what happens is they actually pathologize the human reaction to it, and then start treating the individual as if there is something wrong with the individual, when actually the problem is with the situation. Conflict is not normal. Vanessa Pupalak, she's a professor in Notre Dame University. She has this paper where she says that trauma is a normal reaction to an abnormal situation, right? So when it comes to understanding trauma in the Sri Lankan context, which has gone through conflict, before the conflict there was civil, like JVP violence. I mean, there has been a lot of quote unquote abnormal situations in that sense, and the tsunami, and then now the violent extremism and the poverty, the economic crisis. Look into all these situations. Rather than labeling and pathologizing the human reaction to it, I would say we really need to understand that humans are trying to figure some way in which they can survive these abnormal situations. Unless we can do something about the situations themselves, purely and exclusively labeling individuals and trying to fix the individuals and then putting them back in that same situation, I don't think it's going to work, right? We will have to help people, obviously. I'm not saying there is nothing that these people need. Obviously, they need help, right? Whether it is psychotherapy or psychiatric help. I'm not saying no to that. However, I'm questioning the way we approach it, how we understand their reactions. So when it comes to working with the people, rather than looking at them like vulnerable, sick people who need help, we can recognize, these are survivors. They are in a process of figuring out, how am I going to deal with this situation? So trauma, to me, in that sense, actually is a way of living, literally. It's just a way of living within circumstances or situations that are extraordinary in that sense, that are beyond what we regard as normal, average, mundane, and to respect the people.